how do we connect a personal AI that you own to your Web3 wall so that your private keys are the way you own your personal AI? And I think that is the key thing. If you take away like nothing from this talk, just the idea that you should have a personal AI that you control, I think people this year are going to learn if it's not your keys, it's not your mind, not your AI. I mean, it's going to be really important. I was just talking to a friend a couple of minutes ago. He said he got on a Zoom call and it looked like it's friend. It sounded like it was friend, but then the guy tried to get him to download some code. He realized it was a scammer, right? That's unfortunately what we're going to have to deal with going forward is the deep fakes are getting so good. How do I know it's real? How do I know it's the person I'm interacting with? And so I want to give you a second concept. So a smart agent could be a third-party agent. It's connected to Web3 and AI. But I want to talk about your personal agent. I've been using the term recently of a super agent. This is the agent that I own that interacts on my behalf with other third-party agents. Because the truth is, we're not going to be able to keep up with 200 IQ agents coming at us all the time, trying to market to us or manipulate us or scam us. I'm going to need a personal agent that represents me on my behalf. It's aligned to my values, that cares about my objectives, my principles, not some company, right? It's not aligned to some government. And I think that's really, really critical. So this was sort of the birth of Morpheus a few years ago. Who's already familiar with the project? But show of hands. Maybe about half the people in the audience. So this was a really inspirational white paper that came out in 2023. And it was basically, okay, great. Now we have AI. But here's the problem, guys. Most people are not technologists. They don't know how to download a node. They don't know how to use smart contracts. So how do we bring this to the masses? How do we make this accessible to the average person, right? And in the paper, it famously proposed if we had a network, then you could build light clients, then you could build websites, then you could build apps that the average person can use, right? And this is the same thing that we see in Bitcoin. How many of you are running a Bitcoin full node? Only a few thousand people in the world. 100 million people access Bitcoin through blockchain.com or Exodus or some wallet, right? That's a light client that makes it average person accessible to Bitcoin. It's the same for Ethereum. There's only a few thousand nodes in the world. Most people experience Ethereum through MetaMask or some tool like that, right? So we need the same thing for decentralized AI, right? We failed if it's only accessible to a few hobbyists and technologists, right? So how do we build a broad community that makes this technology accessible to everybody? And that's what the Morpheus community has been obsessed with. How do we support builders who are creating these agents, that are creating these applications and make it available to everybody? So this is working. Who's heard of Venice.ai by Eric Voorhees? So that's by far the most popular app to come out of the Morpheus community so far. Over 1 million people now access decentralized open source AI through their personal AI at Venice.ai, right? And so that's an amazing success story of providing open source models and these decentralized tools to the average person. They didn't have to download anything. They didn't have to be technical. They just went to the website and they were able to use it. So that's what we're trying to unlock here. So if you're interested in smart agents, if you're interested in super agents, if you're interested in this idea of sovereignty over your own mind, like that's what I want to talk to people about, right? I'm happy to say over 100 projects now have launched on Morpheus. Over $2 billion of staked Ethereum have flowed through the fair launch contracts. So this is really gaining steam, and we have an opportunity to disrupt the big players who are sitting in their closed source models. They're not unassailable. The open source models have caught up with all the proprietary models. If you've seen the news about DeepSeek or Llama, maybe you've heard some of those models. These are all open source projects that are now rivaling the same benchmarks as we see from OpenAI or Microsoft or Google or folks like that. So we're making an amazing progress, and I couldn't think of anything more important than to support these type of initiatives, right? Because this is the year, right? I recently wrote an article about quantifying brain power and making it a unit of measure. And I said, let's call it 3.3 tokens per second. which is about as much as 2.5 words per second the average person speaks, right? Let's call that one brain power. Well, if I just look at all the amazing NVIDIA chips coming out this year, we're going to have 50 trillion hours of AI brain power. There's only 7 trillion hours of human brain power commercially available. So if you own your intelligence, that's amazing. You're about to get a 5x on your organic intelligence if you can control the system, if you have access to that compute. And so for me, there's couldn't be anything more important for the average person to be able to participate in the prosperity and wealth generation that's going to happen from this technology is for the average person to be able to access that, right? And it's all going to get built on Web3. We're at 600 million people now have a Web3 wallet, right? And so it's going mainstream. It's happening. But I think AI is honestly hugely beneficial to crypto because it creates this beautiful web interface, this beautiful machine you can just talk to and tell it what you want to do. You don't have to be technical anymore. And so this is, I think, the big breakthrough is having AI as user interface, and crypto can become the back end. It could become the rails that power these AIs, but in a way that's aligned to the individual. So I'm going to keep my comments short, but that's what inspires me. That's why I love this community so much. Huge credit to Wire and all the people that organized this and other events. We've been going all around the world, it feels like, explaining why this is so important and how people can participate. So I don't care if you're a capital provider, you can participate. If you're running GPUs, you can help this effort. If you're building agents, wonderful. Come and talk to us, right? And so big credit to the community because this really has been a community effort of all these different projects working together and aligned towards that outcome. So that's it. Thanks to Doug and everybody else.